So I'll put the top on. Still need to varnish it. Maybe put solar panels on there. Haven't decided yet. But this is bugging me right here. Right there. So I had some leftover bamboo when I cut this, so I figure I'll see if I can, hide it. I love working with bamboo. And all you have to do is just cut down the seam and then use a hammer and knock out the notches. So this is the piece here I'm going to put on there. I think it's kind of cute. We'll see how it looks. Now, what tools did I use? Just a chisel and a hammer. That's all you need. Work with bamboo. My thyme flower is coming in, so now it's the time of thyme flowers. Kind of cool. Kind of really excited about that. So I put it in here. So obviously I need a hole in the front here and a hole out the side. And I'll turn the pump off simply by disconnecting it from the solar panels. That's how I turn it off. And then finish it up. So, yeah, I think it'll look good. Let's look on the other side. What do you think? I think that would look better. Piece of bamboo. I'm actually thinking about planting bamboo, having bamboo growing out of here. It'd be kind of cool. Have bamboo out of your pond. This is all dirt here, that's dirt there, so definitely it would grow. I left some dirt around the sides. But I don't know what you think, if you like that or not. Can't decide. I think it does. It looks less pleasing. I can always also cover those with bamboo coming up, but once bamboo's growing up, it'll even obscure it some more. When I started this project, I had no idea what the final product's going to look like, and I really still don't. I just tackle one little step at a time and deal with it, right? Unfortunately, I'm not an expert at building ponds, obviously. This is my first one. You're not either. But just because you're not an expert shouldn't mean you shouldn't try or do. And ultimately, it becomes kind of like a puzzle on how to do something. I've never built a chicken coop before. I've looked, I've researched, you do your due diligence, but then ultimately you come up with your own design, your own solution. And that's what Foundups is all about. Founding up a new solution to a problem, whether it's an aesthetic problem, using things that are locally sourced, like the bamboo that I have, like the stones, everything here, locally sourced. Some things I had to buy, like the pipe and stuff like that, but ultimately everything is locally sourced. And if I had, I probably could have done the whole pipe thing there with bamboo in hindsight, and maybe I should in the future. There's my neighbor. She's cute. I won't say it. M something F. Can't remember. Anyway. Ultimately it's all about coming up with solutions and doing projects that ultimately is improving the quality of your land here. Adding fish, adding a pond, trapping rainwater. These are things that are important. We can't be living like my neighbor there. They have a beautiful house, but it's just a box on a piece of land. That's all it is. Every house around here is just a box on a piece of land. They're not growing their own food. They're not harnessing the sun's power. They're not growing their own chickens or anything else. And we need to stop thinking of building boxes on squares that we live in with the idea that our economy is infinite and growth is infinite, because it isn't. And these things are going to stop. And ultimately, you need to be thinking about living with a much smaller footprint. Our footprint is still way too big. But I'm trying to get there. And ultimately, if every house here was a Foundup house, and we grew our own chickens and everything else, and we used the products to sell in our Foundup, food trucks that come by and pick up the excess, and have our own little businesses that ultimately some will become the next Google, the IBMs in sustainability. But instead of giving the profits back to a few and making these, crazy wealthy few individuals, the 1% or the 1% of the 1%, we took those net profits and rolled them back into more solutions. See, that's the vision of Foundups. Changing the world by changing our business model from a selfish one, the selfish startup business model, to the selfless Foundup business model. I want us all doing Foundups. Now, how do I get capital to promote and build Foundups? Well, simple. I'm asking people to contribute as little as $3 a month to our crowdfunding campaign. As these funds go up, then ultimately we can do bigger projects. And everyone gets shares who contributes. We have a cap of 10,000 shares for every person who contributes. And ultimately, as long as they're a stakeholder, they have their 10,000 shares. And one day we'll be a public company like Google, like IBM, and everything else. And those shares may be worth $1 a share. Who knows? $10 a share, $20, $15 a share. As the planet gets worse, the valuation of Foundups can't but get better. Because ultimately, we have to start thinking sustainably and thinking globally in ways of solving problems locally. Because if we solve enough problems locally, maybe we can just save our planet. Maybe not. Maybe it's too late. But all I can do is share a vision of Foundups and a new business model that treats and puts our planet first and its living systems first, as equals. Not putting man first, our living systems. We're part of that living system. And if we ignore that living system, then ultimately we may be at the top of the food chain, but as we collapse the parts of the food chain below us, we risk losing everything. And we already know 70% of the animals are going. Our oceans, our fish, our forests, everything. So we got to start planting trees. We have to start creating micro zoos in our garden. I have a very dynamic ecosystem here with frogs and lizards and praying mantis and mason bees and everything else. I'm creating a little microcosm. I'm not poisoning it. I hate to pick on my neighbor. It has nothing growing, nothing going on. Just gravel and cement, and transforming that into something that's beautiful. My name is Mike Trout, creator of Foundups. Just on my soapbox this morning, sharing a vision of Foundups with you that I hope you'll participate in and join. Because without your support, ultimately the levels and scales of projects that I can do are pretty minimal. And ultimately I want to start basically setting up Foundup houses all around Japan that then you can visit and stay at. I want you to launch your own Foundup house, and we will piggyback on Airbnb. But for the members of Foundups, come and stay for free, or pay whatever you want to pay, because your contribution to Foundups is what's helping this vision grow. Thanks.